On today's episode, game number 5 at the Center in Philadelphia. The series shifts back to Philly, but we have an update on Joel Embiid and the hand injury, how important it is for the 76ers to now step up in the moment with the big fella now banged up. We'll get into all of that, plus more, next, right here, Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On 76ers. I'm your co-host, Devon Gibbons, from 97.5 The Fanatic in Philadelphia Sports Radio, alongside my partner and co-host, as always, Sixers beat reporter and beat writer, obviously, of the Inquirer.com, Keith Pompey. Keith, what's going on, man?
What's poppin', D? Hey, D, let me tell you, man, it feels good to be back home, bro. It feels good to be back home.
I'd imagine it as beautiful as Toronto is, just ready to be back home.
Yeah, man. There's nothing like being back home, sleeping in your own bed.
Exactly. I knew that's where you were going to go. And look, when you came back home, you had good weather in the area. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice out there. Well, we got a lot of nice basketball to talk about. We don't know how nice yet because we need to see the final result. But first, we want to thank everybody for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Mavs is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, Keith, right here on Locked On 76ers. And we have a presenting sponsor for today's show as well.
Yeah, bet online,
Beautiful place. They take care of you. I'm sure a lot of people were active over the weekend with all the playoff games, including the 76ers and the games tonight as well.
True. But let me tell you all this, y'all. Like, Bet Online is our sponsor, right? So today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online, where the game starts.
Well, the game starts tonight, Keith, at 8 p.m. in South Philadelphia. We didn't think we would see a Game 5 back in Philadelphia for this series, but the Toronto Raptors forced a Game 5 3-1 series right now in this best-of-7 first-round matchup. Sixers-Raptors heading back to South Philadelphia. And, Keith, an opportunity for the Sixers, obviously, to win the game, win the series, and take a few days off before they start off and await their opponent for the next round between the Atlanta Hawks and the Miami Heat. But first things first, we have an update now on Joel Embiid's injury. We talked about the reporting that was out there, the information that I heard, and speaking about the injury that I had, very similar to the one that he is now going to. What did you find out, Keith, about Joel Embiid and his injury?
Well, today we basically found out, yesterday, confirmed the stuff that you said. You said your sources told you that it was a torn ligament in his thumb. Well, the MRI confirmed that. The 76ers are saying that it's one of those things where nothing has changed. We're still going to give him treatment. We're going to do all types of things with him. And he's still playing. Like, he's still listed as active. But basically, we got confirmation on that. Now, D, the thing is it's going to be tough for him. Sure. I mean, if we're going to be 100, it's going to be tough because, it's one of those things, and you had this injury. Mm-hmm. You played ball with it. Every time somebody hits it, every time you do this, you're going to be in pain. And it's one of those things where as you play, it's going to hurt. And it's not going to get better until you have surgery. One of those things. But you don't want to have surgery because you're not going to be able to play. So it's like one of those catch-22. So, right now he's going to have to gut it out. Things may not be as crisp as it was before for him. But, basically what we found out just confirmed everything, and it's just going to be rough for him.
It really is. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough for him, the team overall, just adjusting to what needs to happen. And I'm curious to see how the game plan may change a little bit, just the tweaking of the game plan with him now being banged up, how much of the offense, of course, flows through him. A majority of it has already done that. And I imagine that Doc Rivers and the coaching staff will still do that it's all about his pain tolerance at this point, because when he is going to have the basketball, the attention is going to be there. They're going to swipe at the ball. Indirectly, they're going to hit his hand. Purposely, they're probably going to hit his hand and try to make him as uncomfortable as possible, the discomfort. What can he tolerate? What can he deal with? What can he handle? Not only with that stuff coming at him, but also his shooting, Keith. He seems like when he was shooting that he's favoring it a little bit as the shots being released. As we talked about it, just simply looking at a basketball and your guide hand, for me, my left hand, guide hand, and my right hand, of course, my shooting. When I shoot, my hand is on, my thumb is on top of the ball. So his thumb is going to be on top of the ball. However he does it, his thumb is a big part of how it goes. Of course, when you release, your thumb is more so playing backwards, and your forefingers are on the follow through as you do what you need to do. But it's a part of it, and he's going to think about it, and that may slow him down in the very beginning of the game. You saw it starting 0 for 5, not very good, but later on he was 7 for 11 once he got comfortable. So it's a matter of how fast can he get comfortable, how many shots can the other teammates make to take some of that pressure off him as he starts to find his way and find his groove with his comfortability in the game with that injury and whatever they're going to have wrapped up on his hand. This is obviously a big development, like a few of the other injuries with the teams in the playoffs. This is a huge development for the 76ers. So let's see how, and I'm very curious because he can play through pain, but we've also seen over the years where he's had to sit out because of some things that were just too uncomfortable for him, and he could not simply play through it. So this is going to be an important one for him and the team. And Keith, on the other side, we need to talk about a little bit more of this game in general, because they need to close this series out. And they need to close it out tonight, 8 o'clock start time. And we need to talk about why it is so important for them to close this series out right now, tonight, at the center in South Philadelphia, so they don't have to play Game 6 and heading back to Toronto. You don't want to go back. They don't want to go back. They need to wrap it up tonight. We'll talk about it next right here, Locked On 76ers.
Yeah, they definitely don't want to go back. I don't even know if I want to go back to Toronto. I love Toronto, bruh, but I don't know if I want to go back with all the all the restrictions. But the one thing I want to talk to y'all about is Athletic Greens podcast brief. You know what I mean? Athletic Green is one of those things where, I'm gonna be honest with you, I love it. It's a thing that is good health wise. It's one of those things where, I can't get enough of it, right? So what is this stuff? What is Athletic Green? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source food, superfoods, probiotics, and to help you start your day right? This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. And believe me, I need the help with my aging. All of those things. So why do you personally consume it? Now, I consume it because I said my agent also is, I'm in season. So I really don't get to work out as much as I would like to, because I'm always on the grind. I'm always busy. So I take this stuff in the morning and it makes me feel a little bit better because I know I'm treating myself right? So, I send it to family members. I also send it to friends. I mean, I have a cousin, Sean, who lives in New York, and he loves this stuff, right? So what you need to do is you need to do yourself a favor, right? You go, Athletic Green is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. I'm telling y'all, do it today, people. Do it today.
Do it today, folks. Listen to them. It's good for you. It's always good to be healthy. Make sure you get involved. And thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen. For your next listen, Check out the Locked On Now podcast for nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Keith, nothing is free in the playoffs. You have to earn it. And now a situation, again, as we just talked about in the first segment with Joel Embiid, making things a little harder for the 76ers, for him as well, with how they need to play through this injury. Well, now we need to look at a situation where, again, they need to just get this game. How important and why is it so important that they do get this one done tonight at the center? No game 6, no going back to Toronto. Not because you selfishly don't want to go back as much as you love being in that country, but you simply do not want to go back, in my opinion, because then they would have won 2 games in a row. They'll start to feel a little more confident about what they were able to do against them and picking up these 2 wins, forcing a game 6, and how things can get a little tight once you allow a team back into a series where you had a commanding 3-0 lead. How important is it for them, Keith, the Sixers, to close this game out tonight at home?
I mean, extremely, because, let's keep it 100. The 76ers are a team that needs practice. It's a team that needs to gel, a team that needs to get ready. I mean, it is. I mean, and Joel Embiid is a guy who needs rest. I mean, his hand is hurting him. Not to say that it's going to get any better by rest, but at the same time, is less pounding on it. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to worry about that. But I feel like, right now is very important because, they trying to incorporate stuff with James, as we saw in games 1 and 2. The offense looked a little bit more crisper. Now, it's not to say that James' shooting has been better, but he's been running the offense the way he was the first couple games. But now they're getting Tobias Harris more involved. So when you add all those things up, you say to yourself, it's extremely important for them to close this thing out, take a day off of rest, and then get back in the lab, so to speak. Work on game plans, do all this other stuff. Because, this is a 76ers team, unlike others, where a key piece of the team came to the team back in February. Right. So they don't have a lot of time. And I would like to get your opinions on that.
No, they don't. And this is one of those times where you're right. They just simply don't want to mess around. They still need practice time. And obviously, when you're able to plan for a new team and a new series, you want to get a big jump. You want to get a jump on it. Now, certainly you have scouts already looking at the Miami Heat and the Atlanta Hawks, but you feel much better knowing that your season is done. Get a little rest. Tough series, even though we hope only 5 games, and get it out of the way tonight. It's still a tough series. It's a physical series. We know how physical the Toronto Raptors are, and the Sixers have been even more physical in the 3 wins that they had, not as much in game number 4. So it is super important for them to get this one done tonight at home. You're playing with your crowd behind you. They can give you a bit of a boost early on. We saw how well they got off to the starts in games 1 and 2. Although they were down early in game 2, but found their way back and outscored them the way that they did. Their defense was phenomenal in the second and third quarters in game number 2. And how they were able to do it, being at home, uplifts the team. And we saw that with the Toronto Raptors. And quite honestly, we saw it in both games 3 and 4. But unfortunately for them, the Sixers were able to overcome all of that in game 3 and walk away with the win behind that miraculous shot that Joel Embiid nailed to end the game. They must close this one down tonight. There's no need for them to get back on a plane, have to deal with all that, because when we talk about the physicality over, it's a mental thing too, right? That now we got to go back to Toronto after we were already up 3-0 and we thought we had game 4 and we thought we were going to sweep them and do all that. The mental aspect then starts to play into their minds, obviously, of, oh man, are we really going to do this? And then we start to hear stuff about Doc Rivers and his 3-1 leads, blowing the 3-1 leads. All that stuff is going to come back. Embiid, Harden, obviously, we'll get to those guys in the next segment, the others that needs to step up. But that's why it's so important for them to do it. There are a number of things the mental aspect, the physical aspect of it, the rest clearly, and to get that extra treatment for Joel Embiid where he's not being pounded on his thumb and taking any unnecessary pressure and unnecessary hits on his thumb for no reason whatsoever. So, Keith, it is super important for them to get it done. And quite honestly, I do believe that they get it done. But in the event that they don't, and we are talking about a game number 6 tomorrow, man, I am not going to feel comfortable about this. Even though my prediction was 6s and 7 in the first place, I adjusted it to 6s in the sweep after what we saw in games 1, 2, and obviously the way things played out in 3. Toronto's a tough team. They played with their backs against the wall in game 4. They had someone step up like Thaddeus Young to help out with 13 points off the bench. Pascal Siakam finally played like the all-star level player that we saw with him, making sure, again, he forced the game 5 with Fred VanVleet out. They desperately need the Sixers to close out this series tonight. It is imperative that they close out this series tonight.
Yeah, it is. It is extremely imperative.
Yep, absolutely. Well, listen, man, now, as I just mentioned, Thaddeus Young, he was an X factor, Keith. He stepped up. Fred VanVleet, injured. OG Anunoby, struggling. He's had a really good series so far. Pascal Siakam lifted them up again. Gary Trent playing well. But the X factor was Thaddeus Young. He did his job in helping his teammates win that game number 4. On the other side, Keith, with Embiid's injury, and you have a team and you have teammates, I want to talk to you about the others once again and who needs to step up once again. I know we've talked about it before, but it's absolutely an important topic now, knowing Embiid's injury, why it's important for others to step up tonight, take some of that pressure off of Joel Embiid. We'll get to that next right here on Locked On 76ers. And I have to tell you all, first of all, let me ask you, do you like cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie? Let me throw a few other flavors at you. Mint brownie, coconut almond, and the flavor of the month, white chocolate cookies and cream. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Built Bar and the puffs that are fantastic. If you haven't had them, you're missing out on the Built Bar's best tasting bars. Yes, Built Bar, fantastic. The puffs are first ever infused marshmallow, fluffy, marshmallowy, not just a protein bar, they're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, you heard me correctly. 100% real chocolate. They're low in calorie, high in protein. Replace your candy bar with these. They are better. A typical candy bar can be anywhere from 200 to 300 calories. And I'll tell you what, most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein, compared to candy bars with 240 calories, 30 grams of sugars, and 30 net carbs. Listen, I went to play basketball yesterday, felt great. And part of my routine in the morning now is to eat a Built Bar before and after to kind of supplement my hunger there, my taste buds. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling light. So I encourage you, go check it out. It's a really good deal. They're all about the taste. They make it delicious first, and they figure things out later, making it healthy. And I don't know how, but they pull it off every single time. I enjoy it. I've included my kids in this. They like them as a little snack. So go to built.com, use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Once again, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. Check out the flavors. They're pretty good. All right, welcome back to Locked On 76ers as we discuss the 76ers game number 5 tonight at the Center. Game 5 of this 7-game series with the Sixers still in front 3-1 despite their tough loss on Saturday in Toronto. Thaddeus Young, as mentioned, he stepped up big in the win for the Raptors, giving them a spark and a punch off the bench. They played with a lot of energy. Doc Rivers spoke about how there was no energy from his team. They were still in it, but no energy overall. So, Keith, why is it important for the others, with Embiid, obviously, to step up tonight to take some of the pressure off, but then also who needs to step up tonight and take some of that pressure off of Joel Embiid?
But I think it's more so just in tonight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be honest with you. Like, I think they could win tonight.
Sure.
With guys playing, but I think in order for them moving forward, dudes really got to step up, because like I can't see them winning it with Joel with a bum hand. Like I think they already had an uphill battle, And now it's like they got to go up Mount Everest, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
tonight you can do well now. But again, I mean, we talked about it yesterday. The guy that really has to step up is James. Like, you know what I mean? Now, again, I know his shot isn't there, but he has to be more of the guy. He got right now, he gotta be like, he has to be like, look, this is my team.
Yeah.
This is my squad.
Yeah.
You know, like when I look at Tobias, a lot of people saying I need more from Tobias. I need more from Tobias. What Tobias is giving the Sixers right now is plenty. Like what he's doing right now is plenty. I don't want Tobias being saying I gotta be superhero. And then all of a sudden he gets out of rhythm. You know, Maxey, of course, Maxey would have to do stuff, but Danny Green also has to step up.
Yeah.
Like the last game he shot 2 for 10, 2 for 7 on threes.
Yeah.
We need him to be a little bit more better shooting, more efficient. But so right now, if I gotta say it, like it's three guys. James got to show me why they went out there and got him, why they did all that. Danny Green has to show me, like, look, I'm clutch. And then Matisse has to be able to. I know that the defenses that they're running at him are a little different. You know, if you look at his shooting percentage, it has inclined in all 4 games. Like it's going down. His scoring average is going down offensively.
You mean Matisse or Maxey?
I mean, excuse me, Maxey. You know
Okay.
about Tyrese. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Maxey, Tyrese. So his stuff has been going down. So it's one of those things where, you know what, we need you to push through it. We need you to get through it. You got to do something. So those are the 3. Like I can't really break it down and say which one number one. Well, if I had one number one, it's going to have to be James.
Sure.
And after that, Tyrese, and then number 3, Danny.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would agree with you that it is James Harden. We talked about it before. These moments are made for your other star player. Why you went out and made the deal for him in the first place for spots like this? It's the postseason, so you need to go all out. You need to leave. You need to spill your bucket and leave it all out on the floor. And no matter what it is, whether it's defensively helping out in that way, offensively certainly putting up more points. And I talked to a couple of people Sunday, Keith, and a couple of texts that came in wondering, am I wrong for wanting him to drop 25 to 28 now that Embiid is down? I'm like, no, it's not unfair to ask for that. Now, look, he's giving you 22 and 10, and that's really good. You need others to do a little bit more as well. Maxey, we know, Keith, role players, with all due respect, and why I think he's a budding star in this league, Tyrese Maxey, he's still a role player, right? Mm-hmm. Role players typically play better at home. Danny Green, to your point, these guys typically play better on their home floor with their home crowd. And my vote, Keith, since you went with Harden in those 2, I'm going to go with Matisse Thybulle. He was not available for games 3 and 4, his choice, and they need him. And they need him to defend Siakam, Anunoby, Trent, whoever it is. They're going to need his defensive prowess out there. The reputation that he has, we know it is very good. It is very well earned. They need him tonight, and they need him to make things easier, create some other opportunities for them to transition. They need to do those things. The other part that I look at, so Matisse Thybulle has to be one of them, and then simply, Keith, they got to keep the turnovers down. They can't keep turning the ball over. 40 turnovers in 2 games in the last 2 games in Toronto. 40. They were lucky to win game number 3. They had no business winning. They have to protect the basketball. They need to get off to a fast start. They need to rebound the basketball. It was, 13-6 on the offensive glass again, where the Raptors had the edge? These are things that will hurt your team. These are things we've seen hurt the Sixers throughout the season. Now, I'm talking like they're down 1-3. They're up 3-1. But that is kind of what we were talking about in the segment number 2, Keith. It is imperative that they win this game tonight at home because you don't want to go back to a game 6 in Toronto with that rabid crowd and how they'll be all on top of the Sixers supporting their basketball team. And you don't want to be in that position again. The only time you want to be in that position is game 1 of the Miami or Atlanta series that will be in the next round. That's it. So it's important for Harden, Maxey, Green, Thybulle, everyone to step up with Embiid being down the way he is. And quite honestly, he needs to be better too. He cannot turn the ball over 5 times. He cannot get sped up from what he wants to do. And Keith, he cannot cross court pass the ball like he did in game 4, where it was picked off, it seemed like 3 times. There were like 3 of his 5 turnovers. So those for me are the keys tonight as well. Fast start, protect the basketball, rebound the ball, and cut down on their turnovers. And you need your role players to step up and help out the big fella who, quite honestly, look, I know it's the playoffs and this is the time for those stars, right? Look, he has carried them all season long. He has done some really amazing things. It's time they help him out tonight. We'll readjust for the next series. Tonight, they need to help and pick up the slack a little bit for him too.
Yeah. And before we go, I just want to share with people why I don't want to go back to Toronto. Now, and this is it. And it's nothing against Toronto. I'm gonna tell you, Toronto is one of my favorite cities in the NBA. I mean, literally, it's like in my top 4, right? I love going to Toronto. I love going to Charlotte. I know some of you might say, why Charlotte? Well, I used to live in Myrtle Beach, and I have family in Charlotte, the whole 9. So I like Charlotte. I like going to Miami. I like going to LA, right? You know, those are places I got another one. I love Houston, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
does James Harden.
So does James Harden, but we love it for different reasons, right? That's right. So, but here's the thing about Toronto, y'all. So now whenever you leave Toronto, you can there's 2 ways to go. You can fly out, but when you fly out, you have to take a COVID test, right? Within the day before your flight, and you have to get a negative. Or what you can do is you can drive to Buffalo, New York, and then take
like the Sixers did.
Yeah, like the Sixers did, right? Well, I'm not driving to Buffalo. So this is what happened. So and this happens all the time. So what happens is you go to the airport and they typically tell you to be safe. You get to the airport 2 hours before your flight. Not in Toronto. You got to get there longer. But the problem is once you roll up there and you get there and they say, it's 4:30 and you got a 6 o'clock flight. It's packed. And they'll say, so what time's your flight? And you'll say 6. They're like, oh, nah, you got to get in that line. So the line they want you in is a line that just basically is not moving anywhere. So they got all these other people going ahead of you, right? So by the time they let you go, and which is crazy, you got to go all the way through the TSA that's packed. It's all the way around the corner. And then you got to go through customs, right. And that's packed. People are literally running to their plane and then realizing the plane left, right? And people getting frustrated. And so what I did, I'm just going to tell y'all, maybe I'm giving you a little bit too much TMI.
Nah, you're giving them a tip.
What I did my flight was 7:30 on Sunday in the morning. So what I did is I went to bed at 10 o'clock in the room, but I couldn't sleep. So I didn't sleep, and I didn't go to sleep until, 10:30. Wow. I woke up at 2, and, I took my shower, packed my stuff back up because we was there for 5 days. Packed my stuff back up, got dressed. I took an Uber to the airport. I got there at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm saying to myself, I got 3.5. I know I'm going to make this flight. What they told me was, nope, you got to get in that line. So I'm like, dang. So I saw it was an older couple. Guy was like, hey, look, his wife kept complaining because she saw everybody going. And he said, hey, man, we're about to leave. You going to come with us? Dude, we basically cut through lines, this and that, and then snuck in the other line to get through. And that's how I was able to not rush my flight. So I love Toronto, Canada. Don't think I'm hating. But it's tough for a brother to get out of that country, man, right about now. And I'm not trying to do that to come back.
Well, we want to thank the older couple that was nice enough to invite you to dip through all that traffic, weave through the lines, and get to the spot that you did to get back home on time and safely. Yes,
exactly. So I can make Sixers practice yesterday.
earlier yesterday. Absolutely. Well, listen, man. As always, we got to thank the people for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. And tomorrow we will recap the game, and hopefully we're talking about a Sixers win and advancing, closing out the 7-game series. Update you on the play, Embiid's play with the injury, everything involved as we look ahead to the second round. We hope we're not getting ahead of ourselves, but I think that's how it should play out tonight. Pardon me. Now make your second listen Locked On NBA for Locked On experts covering the biggest stories around the NBA every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Keith, well, tonight I know for a fact that going into the center, you don't need to have to find a couple to help sneak you in through the right line to get inside the building. So I hope you get there on time, and I'll see you later on, man.
Yeah, I'll see you too. Hey, I want to say something else to people. You can subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts at. And also, I would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel right here. So all you have to do is click on the Liberty Bell and you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we want to thank y'all for listening.
Always. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We appreciate it. YouTube. Tap that Liberty Bell and make sure you join us. We feel like we have good conversation, bring good information, and we always enjoy doing this. Keith, have a good one, man. I'll see you later on tonight. Thanks, man.
All right, bro. And thank y'all for listening.
Yes, indeed.